I never believed a single weekend could unravel years of silence. For so long, my father and I lived beneath the same roof like two fading echoes, present yet hollow in each other's world. After my mother died, grief didn't bind us together. Instead, it built invisible barriers, layer after layer, until all that remained were two people avoiding the sound of their own heartbreak. We didn't fight. We didn't shed tears. We just stopped. Stopped speaking beyond the bare minimum. Stopped reaching toward each other. Our home became a shrine, a perfectly preserved reminder of everything we once had and everything we lost. Then, one quiet morning in spring, something shifted. There was no plan, no revelation. Only a small, persistent ache that settled in the chest until ignoring it became impossible. "Let's drive to the coast," he said suddenly, as he poured his coffee. I remember blinking, startled by the sound of his voice breaking the familiar silence. "Okay," I replied. We each packed a single bag. No itinerary, no expectations. Just an unspoken hope that maybe the ocean would say the things we'd forgotten how to. The road stretched long and mostly silent. A few soft comments about the flowers opening, the sunlight dancing through the branches, but no pressure to fill the space. Just the steady hum of the highway and the quiet reassurance of sitting beside each other again. When we reached the coastline, something inside me loosened. The dunes opened like fading memories, and the ocean lay before us, vast, forgiving, endless. I stepped out of the car, and the salt air filled my lungs like the first real breath after being submerged for too long. Dad stood next to me, his face gentler in the breeze. For once there was no distance in his eyes, only a calm, quiet peace. We stood shoulder to shoulder, saying nothing, yet somehow understanding everything. That afternoon we walked the shoreline barefoot, the waves touching our ankles. He picked up seashells and bits of sea glass, pointing out driftwood shaped like faces, like hearts, like stories the tide refused to let go. Then he began to talk, truly talk, about his childhood, about meeting my mom for the first time. I laughed, the kind of laugh that feels like returning home. For the first time in years, I remembered what it meant to be his daughter. As the sun dipped lower, turning the water to gold, I almost heard my mother's laughter carried in the breeze, soft, but there. We sat on a weathered log as the tide rolled in, the world wrapped in a silence that healed instead of hurt. He reached for my hand, the same hand that steadied my bike, that held mine through thunderstorms, that made me feel safe before I understood the word fear. I squeezed his hand and he smiled, a trembling smile that said everything words never could. That night beneath the stars, we built a fire. Sparks rose and drifted upward like forgotten memories escaping. I told him about my job, my worries, the dreams I'd buried deep, and he listened, truly listened. When he finally spoke, it wasn't as a father holding back, but as a man letting go. He spoke about loneliness, about regrets, about how grief had carved him into someone he didn't recognize. In the glow of the fire, he looked softer. Not older, not broken, I'm just human. For the first time, I saw him not as the father I'd lost, but as the man he'd always been. Flawed, loving, trying. The next morning, he was up early, wrapped in a blanket, watching the water shift with the sunrise. I sat beside him, and together we let the quiet cover us. It wasn't empty anymore. It was full. Full of everything we hadn't said but finally understood. "This was a good idea," he murmured. I could only nod, a lump rising in my throat. We wandered through the small market later, weaving between handmade crafts and paintings of the sea. I bought a sea glass necklace, green, imperfect, beautiful. "Do you like it?" I asked. He smiled softly. "It's lovely. Like you." Later, sitting by the harbor, I finally whispered the words that had been trapped inside me for years. "I missed you." His eyes shone. "I missed you too, and I'm sorry." When he took my hand, I knew forgiveness had finally taken shape. That evening, the sky shifted to lavender and rose as we walked the beach one final time. He handed me a small, worn notebook. Inside was a note written in his careful handwriting. "My dearest, from the little girl who once held my hand to the woman you are now, you've been my greatest joy." I haven't always known how to say it, but I am proud of you. Always." Tears blurred the ink. I looked up, but he simply smiled, as though he already knew the words I couldn't speak. Back at the cabin, the rain began to fall. We sat near the fire again, laughter soft and familiar, like music from another lifetime. And for the first time in